Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Vesta's PMM 1.1 overview. My name is Martin Stenzig, and I'm a partner at Vesta responsible for software development and technical services. What I want to do today is I want to run you through a brief overview of Vesta's PMM product. Vesta PMM is an integration between SAP and Microsoft Project, either Microsoft Project 2007 or Microsoft Project 2010. I want to start out with a brief introduction of Vesta itself, then give you a quick Vesta PMM overview, and follow up with a live demonstration of the product. Vesta as a company is an SAP Services and Gold Consulting Partner company, headquartered out of Connecticut in the United States, but we have offices in Europe, Canada, and Australia, and with that a global presence focusing exclusively on enterprise asset management. That encompasses the SAP Plant Maintenance module, but also some other modules that we consider part of the Enterprise Asset Management foundation. We help our customers build solid business practices that are enabled by the right technology applications. A little bit about Vesta PMM. Customers want to use MS Project to rearrange their SAP work order operations. It was brought to our attention numerous times that customers are owning SAP licenses as well as Microsoft Project licenses, and they want to take their work order information out of SAP and put them into MS Project. Customers also want to have a nimble and inexpensive way to integrate the two systems. A lot of companies, even though there are bigger investments or bigger integrations out there, want to have an easy interface that they can install within a few hours and are ready to go. Work planning in SAP requires time and effort to track and manage the number of work orders processed. What we mean with this item on this slide is that by putting them into MS Project, we can make it simpler for the end user to understand what the work effort and the work requirements are in a shutdown or even in a given work week. What we came up with is Vesta PMM. Vesta PMM is a simple add-on to Microsoft Project environment, and it is built in accordance with all the Microsoft policies and procedures. Vesta PMM sits in the middle between SAP PM, the Plant Maintenance module or Enterprise Asset Management module, and MS Project. But it is, as I said before, an add-on to MS Project. The data flow is pretty simple. Work orders are planned in SAP, and that's very important to understand, and we elaborate on that a little bit later. But what we mean is, and what we are encouraging you to do, is to plan your work orders in SAP, not in Microsoft Project. Microsoft Project can help you very well with rearranging, realigning, or detailing out those work orders. But we encourage you to do your work order planning in SAP because it has the right tools for work order planning, and it has the authorization and procedures in place. Work order data is planned in SAP. It is transferred then into MS Project. In MS Project, you receive a project filled with tasks or activities. You can then do the work assignment and the detailing out of the project plan, including moving the activities around, creating relationships, all in your MS Project environment, and transfer those changes that you made in MS Project back into the SAP system. That includes dates, work center changes, and also individual personnel assignments. Some of the benefits our customers see. Number one, we're reducing time to assign and optimize PM work orders. By transferring all the information into MS Project, we're giving you the opportunity to use the MS Project knowledge to optimize your project plan, your workflow during the week or during a shutdown, turnaround, or outage. We're leveraging the MS Project knowledge that you have. We're allowing you to display charts of the PM work in your MS Project environment. By simply using the standard MS Project environment and the standard MS Project functionality, you can see Gantt charts, resource utilization curves, all of that in MS Project. What we also put in as a functionality into Vesta PMM is the functionality to create confirmations out of MS Project back into the SAP system. Even though that is not a recommended way of doing business, because we encourage you to do your own confirmations in SAP and not in MS Project. A lot of customers have asked us for that functionality, and we wanted to put it into the Vesta PMM 1.1 version. What you can do though is you can enter actual hours, actual start dates into MS Project and feed that right as a confirmation into the SAP system. Vesta PMM is easy to configure, and I will show you some of the examples of what you can configure and how you can configure it, and you will see that it's super easy to do. As a last benefit, and you will see how that comes into play a little bit later when I show you the application, we download the SAP Work Center and personnel information into MS Project. That is not the capacity, but merely the SAP Work Center structure and the individuals that are assigned to the work centers. And with that, let me switch right into the live demonstration and show you how the product works. Let's start on the SAP side. What I have here is an SAP system in version 6.0. Vesta PMM can run against everything down to SAP version 4.7 or even 4.6. What we're doing and why the restriction, SAP has provided with SAP version 4.7 a standard set of BAPIs or interfaces within the SAP environment that allow us to take work order information out of SAP and push it back into SAP. And that's what we're using as foundation for Vesta PMM. What you see here though is transaction IW38 or the change PM order transaction. In this selection screen you see various selection criteria. I can select my orders by order type. I can select them by who entered them, who created them. I can specify just a time period, or I can specify a revision. And what I have done in preparation for this demonstration is I've created a set of work orders that I then assign to the revision code MST3000 that you see here. Once I click my execute button, what you see is a list of work orders that I have created. And if I go into one or two of those work orders, you see that they're containing functional location assignments, they're containing equipments, they also contain a number of operations. Those operations have work amounts assigned as well as number of resources. Here we have one example where we have 4 hours of work assigned with 2 people, coming to a duration that it should take to execute this work of 2 hours. Now, all of these work orders are similar in nature. They are different in that some of them are released, some of them are in created status, some of them are assigned to an equipment, others are not. So they have a variety of permutations, and you will see them in the MS project plan. Important to say is we do not have any limitation as to what status your work order has to be in, or any specialties for the work order itself. So Vesta PMM will work with any work order that you have in the system, or even service management order. How do I transfer out these work orders into my MS project plan? Well, first of all, let me switch over to my MS project plan itself. What I have here is an MS project in version 2007. This is the client version of MS Project. So this version of MS Project does not have any connectivity to an MS Project server. You can run Vesta PMM in connection with a server, with a project management server, but Vesta PMM will not utilize any of the server-side functionality. It will merely work on the client, and it will install itself on the client or as an add-on to the client itself. You can see that by looking here at the menu bar. Vesta PMM shows up as an additional menu item in your menu bar in your MS Project environment. As you can also see, the functionality of Vesta PMM is kept very simple, to the point where you have only 3 menu items that your user can use and should use. The first one allows you to transfer information from SAP to MS Project, as the name indicates here. The second is allowing you to transfer information back resulting information that I have modified from MS Project back into the SAP system. And the last point allows me to go through preferences or configuration parameters. I'll show you that at the end of the presentation. Let's start out from the top and transfer information from SAP into MS Project. As soon as I click the button from SAP, a dialog box appears and allows me to enter various selection criteria that I can use to select information out of SAP and transfer them over into MS Project. All of these selection criteria that you see here can be adjusted and modified, and you can also find all of these in the IW38 transaction. Any selection criteria that is available in IW38 can be made available in Vesta PMM. Now let's look at the individual parameters. If I, for example, want to specify or want to select all the orders of a particular order type, I can do so by simply entering the PM01 order type. Now what I could also do is, if I want to specify a range of work orders, let's say I want to transfer all work orders between 816,000 and 816,500, that would give me 500 work orders. I could do so by simply specifying ... as a, or period as a distance or an indicator for a range. Now, an alternative I have is I can enter a variety of those selection criteria and then save them as what we call a parameter set. Now, a parameter set is similar or analog to a variant in SAP. Essentially allows me to take a set of parameters and save them under a particular name. What I have done for my selection here, I've prepared my revision code parameter set, which automatically pre-populates my revision code field with my revision ID MST3000. Now you can clear out those revisions, remove the revisions, or save your new ones. All you need to do is enter your parameters here, specify a parameter set name, and then hit the save button. Now, in order to transfer my work orders over, I simply hit the go button, and at that point in time the progress bar starts to run, and what you can see here is it's initially looking for all the work orders matching my selection criteria and then reading out the details for each and individual work order. Halfway through the synchronization cycle, the synchronization stops and provides me with a verification or an intermediate screen. In here I can see how many work order header information, how many activities and how many resource assignments I would transfer and I would populate within the MS Project project plan. And here you see that we would create 39 tasks, 17 headers, etc., etc. Now I can either click OK in order to proceed with the synchronization, or I can look at details in the header and resource assignment section here. Now, if I, out of whatever reason, do not want to transfer all of these work orders, but only want to have a subset of these work orders transferred in my MS Project plan, I also have the option here of unchecking my work orders, which would take out the work order header information out of the transfer, as well as the assigned activities. Now, in my case, I go back to my full selection and I hit OK. And what happens now is it takes all of this work order information and populates my MS Project project plan with it. Here you get a result screen. You can also download the resulting log to your machine in order to have an audit trail of what just happened, what it transferred, and what was transferred out. In MS Project itself, what you see is that all the work order information came over as tasks and summary task in MS Project. What we see here is that the work order header shows up as a summary task. Each operation shows up as an individual task. The description of the work order header is showing up as a summary task description. The descriptions of the operations, or the short text of the operations, show up in the description of the task itself. SAP work centers are automatically assigned as resources, and as you see here, for resources or for work centers that we have assigned with 2 number of individuals assigned, it will come out with 200% of the utilization. If we're assigning 3 in SAP, it will show up as a 300% utilization or resource demand for this work center. There are other fields that we're transferring by default: the functional location, the equipment ID, an order ID. We're transferring the revision code, the system status, the plan cost, and as you see here, the plan cost is transferred on the header level, as you would expect. We're transferring the actual cost, estimated cost, which I do not have, or I have not specified here in my work orders. And in these actual start and finish and actual work information, I can provide information that would create confirmations back in the SAP system. Now let's modify and look into a few details of this project plan and then transfer the information back into the SAP system. The first thing I want to do is, as you see here, all the dates that coming out of SAP are still SAP dates. So in order to use and utilize the scheduling capability that MS Project has, I want to switch all of those tasks to a different constraint type. And it's not so much a constraint type, it's what in other scheduling tools you would just see as a standard. You want to have the constraint type as soon as possible, which essentially brings all the activities and all the tasks back to the project start date. In my case, that's the 30th of March 2012. Now what I can do very simply is, if I decide that the 30th of March is not the start date for this set of activities, but I want to start it, let's start it today or next Monday, I can simply go to the project information and change the start date to the 16th of April as we have done it here, and hit the OK button. What happens as a result is that all the activities are going to be aligned with my new start date, which you see reflected here in the changes in the start column. Now if I want to push that a little bit further and I say, well, I want to execute all of these activities in sequence, I can simply use again standard MS Project functionality and link the tasks. What you see here is, by linking the task, you see a few things happening automatically. All the activities or operations within a work order are automatically linked to each other. But what also happens is here that all summary tasks, or in our case the operation or the order header, have a finish start relationship between each other. So that gives you an opportunity and a functionality that does not exist in SAP. You can essentially link work order headers together, or you can link operations to work order headers, depending on what your choice is. What we see as a result though is that all these work orders are happening in sequence now, and the last one here down here at the end happens as late as the 30th of April. Now that is one functionality that we put into the system. So this is standard MS Project functionality. Some other things that we provide you with Vesta PMM is the ability to assign a different work center, or in MS Project language, a different resource to tasks. In order to support that, we have downloaded all the work centers, all the maintenance work centers I should say, that are available in our SAP system down to MS Project, and you see them listed in here. Now I could simply switch my work center to a different work center, or what I can do here as well is I can look for Jennifer Morrow, for example, that is part of the electrical work center, but is an individual that is assigned to that electrical work center, and can assign her as an individual to work on this particular task. What that will do now on the way back into SAP is it will not only assign the different work center, that is ELEC, to the operation, but it will also assign the individual Jennifer Morrow with her personal number to my operation 0010, and I will show you that as soon as we've transferred the information back into the SAP system. Now, having made a number of modifications, I want to transfer this information back into SAP. How do I do that? Simply by hitting the To SAP button and clicking Go. What's happening now at this point in time is that Vesta PMM rereads all the work orders from SAP in order to determine what it really needs to do to the SAP work orders in order to make the changes that we have made in the Microsoft project plan. It has determined that it needs to update 17 work order headers, 39 activities or work order operations, and create and delete one resource assignment. What that essentially means is it will update one of the operations as we have determined with the new electrical assignment and the detailed assignment. Now I can again look through the details here, and I can say do the delete, do the create, or I can sub-select and say, well, I only want to update certain individual work orders. In my case, I will update all the work orders. And what happens now is it literally uses the standard SAP functionalities. The standard SAP BAPIs I've mentioned before, those are the standard interfaces SAP provides to you as an end user with your SAP system for updating and making the changes to your system. So we're utilizing those standard integration interfaces to update work order by work order the SAP system with the information that you see here in MS Project. Now that has advantages. As you see here, if we would run into a problem with a single work order, it would continue making changes to the remaining work orders and would log the problem with that single work order. A very common scenario might be that a work order is locked. What does it mean? Essentially means one of your colleagues is already modifying or is just in the process of modifying a work order within your system, and you cannot access or open that work order for change. Vesta PMM would have exactly the same problem. If we want to update information on a work order that is currently locked in your system, we cannot do that. That would result in an error, and that would be documented in this list that you see here. But as you know, nobody else is working on my work orders right now, what I have is that all the work orders were updated successfully. And that is happening in real time. So as soon as you see this result screen, or even before that, your work orders are updated. Here I see, if I click on the header section, I see all my results. So these BAPIs send the information back that everything was successful. Let me go back into my SAP system and open up that particular work order that we changed. It was this last work order, 819801, and I will show you some of the changes that you will see immediately, and that will outline and show you what has happened. The first thing that you see here is a difference in system status. The system status, or a system status that was automatically set by updating the dates back in SAP, is the DSX System Status. Stands for date set by external system. What that essentially does is it makes sure that SAP's internal scheduling functionality does not change the dates of this work order anymore, because you have made the conscious decision of scheduling your work orders now in the SAP system. What it also means is that you can easily identify all the work orders that were scheduled from the outside. So this DSX status, system status, shows up as soon as at least one of the operations was scheduled through an external system. Now you can remove that DSX system status through a standard report that we deliver with PMM that allows you to remove that DSX system status and then go back to standard SAP scheduling for all the work orders or a subset of the work orders. Now if we're looking into my work orders directly, the other thing that you see right away is that my start date here now align with whatever I came up with in my MS project plan. In this case, the 16th of April. We'll also see that my work center has changed to ELEC as we were expecting it. And the last thing we have updated in the SAP system is that Jennifer Morrow is now assigned with her personnel number to this operation. How does it help you in the bigger picture? It helps you when you want to use, for example, CAT's functionality, so that Jennifer Morrow can only open up and select her activity that she as an individual is assigned to, rather than having to look through all the electrical work center assignments that were made to the electrical work center. So that's the back and forth of the transfer I wanted to show you. Let's jump back into Vesta PMM and show you some other functionalities that we have and some of the configuration parameters that we have. In order to go to the preference section or go to the configuration parameters, I jump back into the Microsoft project plan and select my preferences out of my menu items. And here we see 3 areas that you can configure in Vesta PMM. The first one is a log level here. A log level is really not as relevant to you. It only is relevant for us as a support organization in case something ever goes wrong with you. You can set this to a lower level to put out a log that allows us or you to trace whatever went wrong with the synchronization. XML mapping is a new functionality we put in here and is probably very interesting for you. XML mappings allow you to modify what information is transferred out of SAP into MS Project and what information is transferred back into MS Project or back into SAP. What I want to do here is I want to just download my XML mappings to my local computer just to show you how those mappings look like. What you see here is all the mappings that we're using to transfer the information out of SAP into MS Project and vice versa. So you see here that we're mapping the short text to a standard field, and then the standard field in itself is mapped back down here against the text field, well, against the description field in the MS Project field. But simply by either commenting out or deleting these individual lines, I could take out the cross transfer out of the MS Project database or out of the MS Project transfer, load this mapping back into my MS Project environment through the upload functionality, and that's all I would need to do in order to change or adjust the mappings. We also have some other customization possibilities in the system. You can obviously use standard macros in order to do formatting after the transfer occurred. All of that is possible, and that gives you wide flexibility to adjust and modify and even enhance the standard PMM functionality that we provide you out of the box. This import and export work center personnel functionality allows you to take the work center and individual lists that I showed you and take them or retrieve them out of SAP. I can do that by simply entering my plant ID and hitting the SAP import functionality. Or you can import a list if you, for example, do not have the individuals assigned through the HR Mini Master in SAP through an XML file. Could be done here through import from file. You can also export all of these information into a file system file here. Let's move on to the second section. In the second section, I can pick and choose what selection criteria I want to utilize. As I mentioned before, you can use and pick every selection criteria available in IW38, and those are the ones that are in there, and make them available for the selection in your selection screen. So in my case, I had the priority in there, I have the revision code in there, I have the planning plan in there. I took off the priority now, so I unchecked that. I have the planner group for orders there. Maybe I want to use a location field for some selection because you're using the location field in your work orders. If I do that, I simply check that, and I then switch over to a display sequence and see in what sequence these fields are displayed. Why is it of interest? Well, because you usually want to have your most important and your often most used fields on the top. So for me, its revision field is all across the top because I use it every single time. But location might be the second most important field, and I will update, or we'll put it back in here. So if we're now going to the from selection screen, you will see that we have the revision field first and the location field that we just configured in here to be showing up as a second field as the second position. The last thing that we have in the preference section, going back into this functionality, is the SAP connectivity. SAP connectivity encompasses two things. Number one, the connection itself. And as you would expect, you have a drop down here to get all the connections that are coming up or that are listed in your SAP GUI interface. And you have the username and password here to specify the username, password, and client you're accessing to transfer the information. There is a remember password button here. If you do not want to enter your password every single time, you don't have to do that. We have some customers though that want to enforce that username and passwords are set and specified every single time. So we can, through a customization setting, make sure that you cannot remember your password and you have to enter that every single time. That is the functionality of Vesta PMM that we wanted to show you today. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation for today and ask you to send us your questions if you have them to info@vestapartners.com, or feel free to give us a call at in the US at 203-517-4000. But if you have any specific needs, any specific interest, also I can advise you to go to www.vestapartners.com, which is our website. You can find all information on that website. You will also be able to find this webinar on that website. But again, do not hesitate to contact us with any questions you might have. With that, I would like to thank you for your time and attention, and I hope to hear from you soon.